Welcome back to the dumbest bill in America. And we have with us, of course, Delegate Brian Chisholm. Welcome back, Brian.
Great to be here.
So this podcast is called Vote Early and Vote Often. You think that's Democrats, Brian? Just saying. No. So get this. The guy running for mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, don't mess with a Zohran.
That's right.
He basically has an advertisement, I think, that he put out there on TikTok. And he's basically saying, hey, you should move to New York just so you can vote for me. You have to hear this, Brian, because it sure sounds like he's saying vote multiple times depending on where you live.
Right.
Here's the clip. Listen.
The other day on the subway, I met a New Yorker. But get this, they vote in California. I know this is true for many of you. You're Democrats who've chosen not to vote here because you believe your vote counts more elsewhere. Every 4 years, you vote absentee from your parents' address in Philly or 3 apartments and go in Atlanta. But come on, you live here. I get it.
So, Brian, is he actually saying that people are voting in multiple jurisdictions? Like not just New York City, but other states?
I think he's saying that we understand how the Democrat Party works, and you get to vote wherever we need you most, as often as you can. And maybe we need you this time. I don't know. I do have a bit of advice for him. Write this down, Zohan. Ian Roberts. He now is in Iowa, but we have several different voter registrations for him here in the state of Maryland. I'm sure that you can transfer him to New York. It won't be a problem.
And it's an illegal alien.
Yeah.
This guy, Ian Roberts. And basically what Zohran Mamdani is saying in New York City, who's running for mayor, he's saying, well, maybe like you could move to New York just long enough to vote here, even though you live in Atlanta, but you've lived in New York in the past. Folks, that is like totally gaming the system. I mean, and there are supposed to be residency requirements, of course. Every single jurisdiction has different residency requirements for city elections, municipal elections, as well as state elections. Federal elections, I think, are different, obviously. But he's openly saying, let's cheat and game the system.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what communists do?
And the scary thing is, and speaking of communism, I mean, he wants to dominate because right now in the polls, he's crushing Cuomo. Curtis Sewell obviously is down. He's the only Republican in the race. Mamdani's going to win unless something dramatically changes. But he wants to dominate, and almost like it's going to be like one of those Chinese elections where it's 100%, not a single person voting.
Not a single person. So let me ask you something. Also, get this, podcast listeners. You're not going to believe this. Mamdani wants to tax people who are white with their property tax, right? Their property tax. He wants to tax them more than everybody else. And this is in the Washington Times. And this is actually true because he's talked about this. Part of his agenda is to do just that. Homeowners living in neighborhoods populated by minorities, he said, pay too much in property taxes, Brian. And those living in wealthier, whiter neighborhoods don't pay enough property tax. Now, if you all know anything about property tax, you would know that you pay based on the value of the house. The more valuable the property is, the more property tax you pay, correct?
Yeah.
So he's basically saying, well, despite all of that, and he's hoping that the voters are dumb enough to which they may be in some cases, not all cases, to actually vote for him thinking, oh, great, he's going to cut my property tax because that guy with a nice house needs to pay a lot more in property tax. I mean, what the heck?
The thing that strikes me is it is probably the most racist thing in the world because what are you saying here? You're saying the wealthier neighborhoods. So that's white neighborhoods. There's no black people in there. There's no black people that
are wealthy.
Yes, to climb the economic ladder. And that there's no white people in poverty-stricken areas, which it is completely racist. That's stereotypical at its very core. It's the definition. So he's going to actually capture some wealthy black people because because they bought in the wrong neighborhood.
And isn't New York an international city? I mean, you have people from all over the world, not just Hispanic, black, white. I mean, all over the world. Yeah. And people go to New York City for the purpose of buying real estate in many cases. And you're saying, well, if you're Chinese, if you're Asian, if you are Indian, whatever the case may be. I mean, obviously Indians are Asians. I know that, yeah. But Hispanic, whatever the case, whatever country you're from, you're fine. But if you're white, your property taxes should be higher. I mean, this guy, he is actually a very dangerous person because he actually wants to bring up race riots. I mean, it's really sick, by the way. And what's sicker, Brian, is why do New Yorkers even think that this guy should be elected.
That's a shocking thing to me is this man is going to be scary with his government-run grocery stores that will have empty shelves, taxing people. What do you think is going to happen in New York? They're going to leave New York quickly, people in the wealthier neighborhoods. There's not enough money to satisfy what this man wants to do, which is complete government control of every aspect of your life. And New York used to be the financial capital. It is going to be the broke capital.
I mean, you're going to have to basically, if you live in a neighborhood, and by the way, why does a neighborhood have to be called a white neighborhood, right? Because it's really stupid, or a black neighborhood. Why not just call it a neighborhood? But if he decides he wants to implement such a tax, notwithstanding the fact that it's completely unconstitutional,
correct.
But if he decided to try, then, you're going to see people going, well, I'm actually not white. I identify as black today because, white, as long as I'm going to have lower taxes, that's what I'm going to do.
And if you can do that, you might as well identify as poor too, because evidently you don't have to pay as much. My house identifies as very cheap.
And that's the dumbest bill in America. I'll see you next time. We'll see you next time.